want to come back and play with LeBron and all them?
I'm good on right now, man.
You good on it right now?
I'm good.
Is the training?
No, it's just that time to move on sometimes, you know?
NBA players who strangely disappeared. The NBA has had an abundant amount of all-star caliber players who shortly dominated the league and then fell off a cliff. Whether it be a player that a franchise hoped and dreamed would carry them to a championship, or a player that exploded for just a few games and then disappeared, we've seen players like Jeremy Lin light up scoreboards when it mattered most, and then have their stardom slowly fade shortly afterwards. Unfortunately, we see players go through this weird roller coaster of talent, but that is what makes basketball so enticing to watch. And that's why today, we are going to go through some of the top disappearances in the NBA. Josh Smith is undeniably one of the most interesting cases when it comes to disappearances in the NBA. One of the few players to come straight from high school into the league, Josh Smith looked like a gamble from the start. His 6'9" frame and defensive ability, however, attracted NBA teams, in particular the Atlanta Hawks, who selected Josh Smith at number 17 in the 2004 NBA Draft. Josh Smith did have some negative traits coming out of high school, though. His lack of offensive ability was a major concern, as well as his lack of maturity. Even with all the skepticism, Josh Smith shut his haters up with his amazing rookie season. Smith was a force to be reckoned with in the paint. Whether it be on the offensive or defensive side of the floor, he was always up high in the air. With his sick blocks and crazy finish at the rim, the hype train for Josh Smith was through the roof. Smith even won the dunk contest that year, providing good reason for Atlanta Hawk fans to think they might have just drafted their future. This followed through the next 3 years, with NBA fans considering Smith to be one of the best up-and-coming two-way players in the league. Smith's lack of overall game did affect him, however, with an absurdly low 25% three-point shot. The decline of Josh Smith started when the Detroit Pistons signed him to a fully guaranteed 4-year, $54 million contract, the highest paid player in Piston history at the time. The first year Josh Smith was on the starting lineup, the Detroit Pistons record was a saddening 29-53. This perhaps is what led Detroit to releasing Smith the next year, after only 28 games into their season. Josh Smith bounced around various teams in the league, but truth be told, no one's missing his horrendous jump shot. Another player that strangely disappeared in the NBA is big man Roy Hibbert. At one point in time, Roy Hibbert was viewed as one of the best defensive big men in the league. Standing at 7'2", weighing 300 pounds, Hibbert was a scary sight to go against in the paint. One chip in the big man's armor, however, was his offensive ability. In today's NBA, big men are expected to put up numbers. He was not able to spread out the floor at all, leading to him being a complete liability. Not a lot of people realize just how drastic the change in the NBA truly was. Traditionally, Hibbert would be the perfect prototype as a big man in the league. However, due to his inability to produce baskets or rebounds, Roy Hibbert had one of the craziest downfalls ever seen. Going from an amazing player on the Pacers to a completely unreliable player in the league just shows that players need to keep up with the times. One of the most amazing players to watch in the 2000s was Danny Granger. Granger quickly developed into one of the league's elite scorers at a young age. This is one of the rare players that had well-developed offensive game all around. During his first few years in the league, Granger became one of the rare players to improve his scoring average per game by 5, resulting in him being awarded Most Improved Player in his 4th season. So what happened to Danny Granger? Sadly, in the 2009-2010 season, Granger developed terrible knee problems. He missed 20 games that season, and all of his numbers dropped for the first time. In the season following, Granger was healthy and played almost every game. However, it became apparent that he lost some athletic ability, once again having his stats reduced for the 2nd year in a row. He was still playing well, but he talked about his knees hurting multiple times. That year, the Pacers went to the second round in the playoffs, being beat out by a great Miami Heat team. Sadly, this was the last full season Granger played. Before the 2012-2013 season, Granger was diagnosed with patellar tendonitis, resulting in a surgery. After recovering, he only played 5 games before he noticed that his knee did not heal right. Granger needed additional surgery, which completely took him out for the season. This seemed to be the end of Danny Granger's career, with him being traded to the 76ers the following season. After this, his career was dismantled, with many other bad seasons and his knee issues still lingering. I will never forget Granger's scoring ability, and the thought of what if he didn't get hurt still crosses my mind. Monta Ellis is one of the names Warrior fans love. Coming straight out of high school to the league in the 2005 draft, Ellis became one of the most consistent players in his team in only his second year. In fact, he was a key member of the We Believe team that absolutely upset the Dallas Mavs in the playoffs. In only his third season, Ellis had 20 points per game on 53% shooting. However, after this season, Monta tore a ligament in his left ankle. In addition to that bad news, Ellis lied about how he got this injury to the team, resulting in a 30-game ban. Even more bad news surrounding Ellis came after that season, when the Warriors drafted Stephen Curry. Monta openly said he did not like the idea of playing with Curry on the same backcourt. He later apologized and ended up having a killer season, calling himself the second best player in the league behind Kobe. The big negative side of Monta Ellis was that he put up a ton of shots, but was not that efficient. The Warriors front office decided to move on from Ellis after this season, going to the Bucks and then the Mavs. Monta put up good numbers in his time with the Mavs, even averaging 27 points in their playoff series against the Rockets. The Pacers signed him after that year to a 4-year, $44 million contract, where he didn't play as well as he used to. Glenn Robinson III took over his starting spot, which was the last time he ever started in the NBA. With the addition of a failed drug test after, Monta Ellis fell off completely. Part of the amazing 2002 Sacramento Kings team, Mike Bibby was one of the most clutch shooters in his time. This was his first year, and he played as a consistent guard, which was exactly what the Kings needed. Mike Bibby's passing and pick-and-roll ability was extremely effective and made their games really exciting. Sadly, over the course of his career, the playoffs always ended terribly. Over the course of his career, he was always the consistent point guard that his team needed, but the Kings could just never get that push to win deep in the playoffs. The Kings sadly traded most of their core players in the years to come, which led to the end of Mike Bibby's career. I'm sure in some alternate reality, Mike Bibby is known as one of the most team-oriented guards in the NBA. One superstar that shocked the league with his disappearance in games was Deron Williams. He was easily one of the best point guards in the NBA, and he was definitely on the course to the Hall of Fame for his first 4 years. So what happened? Most of his skepticism began in 2012, with him being a bit overweight going into the Olympic team. This translated into his next few years, where he was obviously falling off. Later in 2015, in Game 2 and 3 versus Atlanta, the star that was known as Deron Williams only scored 5 points. This was one of the most hilarious times in sports media, with every talking head in sports talking trash about him. It's sad to see the complete decline of this insane scorer, but seeing how he did not thrive under the spotlight shows that maybe he just didn't want it as much as the other teams he was playing against. Deron Williams completely fell off the radar after being exposed in the spotlight. Did we miss any big names? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, now that you're here, leave us a like and subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed this video. And remember, turn notifications on to receive more amazing sports content. We hope you enjoyed our video. Anyway, have a nice one, and we'll see you next time at Baller Central.
I got some things that I could fall back on, and business-wise, some things that I have interest in, and like I said, a little bit of golf. A lot of golf.
I enjoyed it. I got to play against some of the best. I could look myself in the mirror and say, I did my best, win, lose, or draw. I appreciate the years I did play.
We had the best record in the league that year. Good run in the playoffs. It was just a fun thing to be around. From the owners all the way down to the last player. It was the best time of my life.